the Commission on Human Rights, and then Human Rights Violations Victims Memorial Commission. So we'll have the presentation for both agencies ahead, and then after that we'll have a question and answer portion. All right. So yeah, we direct the committee secretary to acknowledge your resource persons.
Mr. Chair, good morning. For the briefing on the FY 2026 proposed budget of the Commission on Human Rights and attached agency, the Human Rights Violations Victims Memorial Commission, or HRVBMC, we would like to acknowledge our resource persons from the CHR. We have the Chairperson Richard Palpal-Latok, together with Commissioner Beda Epres, Commissioner Maria Amife Pider Reyes, Attorney Jacqueline Andigia, Director Onesimo Cuyco, Director Liberty Estipona, Ms. Jocelyn Reyes, Ms. Greta Beltran Tarun, Attorney Benjamin Zabala, and Mr. Dennis De La Peña. For the HRVBMC, we have the Executive Director Carmelo Victor A. Crisanto. We have also requested the presence of representatives from DBM and COA. For DBM, we have Ms. Maricel Dizon, Ms. Aroma De Terra, Ms. Mia Monique Briones, and Ms. Sandra Lee Estabilio. For COA, we have Ms. Catherine Gaongen Logrenino. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, so we'll proceed with the presentation of the budget for both agencies, and then after that, we'll have some questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. Good morning once again. I am the chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights, Richard P. Palpalatok, and joining me is Commissioner Beda of EPRES and Commissioner Maria Amife Fidel Reyes. On behalf of the Commission on Human Rights, we're pleased to present the budget proposal of the Commission. So for this year, we have a total budget proposal for 2026 amounting to 2.19 billion pesos, while the 2026 National Expenditure Program amounts to 1.29 billion, which is a decrease of 40.76% from the proposed budget. Then this slide presents the comparison between the 2025 General Appropriations Act and the proposed 2026 budget under the National Expenditure Program. For personal service, there is an increase of 101 million pesos, while MOOE has a rise of 47 million pesos. The capital outlay remains almost the same, with a slight increase of 334,000 pesos. In total, the current appropriations increased by 147 million pesos. Meanwhile, the retirement and life insurance premiums went up by 8.6 million, and altogether, this brings the grand total increase of 156,589,000 for the 2026 net compared to the 2025 GAA. And then we respectfully present to you the outline of the top 10 priority projects under the fiscal FY 2026 Tier 2 proposal. Number one is the expansion of the financial assistance program, now including specific support for human rights defenders, especially labor-related violations as a result of the memorandum of agreement with the Department of Labor and Employment and the Board of Claims of the Department of Justice, among others, with a proposed budget of 51.81 million pesos. CHR's financial assistance program is granted to victims of human rights violations and their families, and are determined by the Commission en Banc upon the recommendation of the regional offices. Second is the Lakbay Karapatan Tungo sa Kamalayan, or Lakaran, a key human rights awareness and education initiative proposed at 29.86 million pesos. This initiative seeks to intensify human rights promotion through different CHR regional offices with strong focus on the grassroots of the society. Since its inception, CHR has been able to reach 16 regions, implemented the 64 advocacy activities, coordinated with 353 civil society organizations, and 102 media organizations, 53 memoranda of agreement for Center of Human Rights Education, and 320 ordinances for local human rights action centers, among other accomplishments. Third, we aim to enhance support services in regional offices for better delivery of our programs with a substantial allocation of 88.61 million pesos. Next is the Protection and Assistance Program expansion with 34.05 million pesos. This program seeks to offer protection to victims, witnesses of human rights violations and their families who face actual or imminent threats to their life and security as a result of cases filed with the Commission on Human Rights. The expansion is also in line with the UN Joint Program's proposal to strengthen the CHR's protection mandate. Fifth is the Torture Prevention Program, proposed at 7.72 million pesos. CHR envisions that this program will strengthen and further institutionalize the Philippines' torture prevention mechanisms. Particularly, this will ensure that the Philippines, as a state party to the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, will fulfill its obligation to also uphold the rights of persons deprived of liberty, who are the primary beneficiaries of CHR prevention program. At number 6, we propose infrastructure development for justice-related efforts at our central offices with 82.2 million pesos. Seventh is a program from the Human Rights Institute on the right to food, IEC materials, and forums for food security and other human rights issues with a proposed budget of 15 million pesos. 8 is a similar infrastructure development project focused on our regional offices amounting to 29.1 million pesos. We are also seeking for the expansion of the confidential fund. And finally, we propose public inquiries on pressing budget for public inquiries on pressing human rights issues and concerns with a budget amounting to 2.5 million pesos. These 10 priorities together reflect targeted investments aligned with our mandate and current realities. The subtotal of these 10 initiatives amounts to 344,853,000 pesos out of the 40 proposals. We now present the estimated budgetary requirements needed to address implementation gaps in unfunded special laws and mandates. For special laws, the total estimated requirement is about 106 million pesos, primarily for MOOE, with a small allocation for personal services. And for broader total mandates, the estimated need is significantly higher, amounting to 165 million, which includes 29 million for personnel, almost 60 million for MOOE, and 75.15 million for capital outlay. And altogether, the grand total needed to support these currently unfunded legal obligations amounts to 271.6 million pesos. And these figures highlight the critical funding gaps that need to be addressed to fully operationalize and comply with our mandated responsibilities. Under the Human Rights Protection Program, the CHR continues to uphold its mandate to investigate human rights violations and provide remedies and assistance to victims. So from 1987 to 2023, Mr. Chair, we have the commission. Actually, the commission, as of 2023, the commission has a total pending case of 22,777 complaints, of which 13,389 cases, or 59%, have been disposed. In 2024, the CHR received 5,742 cases, consisting of investigation, legal assistance, and other protection services. So in total, 18,294 cases, or 64%, were disposed out of the 28,519. For the first semester of 2025, CHR received 2,791 cases and has already disposed 2,287, leaving 504 pending as of June 2025. In terms of financial assistance, the Commission extended aid to 478 beneficiaries in 2024, amounting to 4.7 million, and to 178 beneficiaries for the first half of 2025, totaling 1.86 million. The Commission also issued 1,641 clearances and certifications in 2024 and 725 as of mid-2025, and provided independent forensic services in 59 cases in 2024 and 57 cases during the first semester of 2025. Under the prevention program, the CHR conducted a total of 960 jail and facility visitations in 2024. And as of the first half of 2025, we have already conducted 509 jail visits. And these visits include jail, police and military custodial facilities, child caring institutions, prisons, and mental health facilities, ensuring the protection of persons deprived of liberty. And lastly, 4,335 persons deprived of liberties were given assistance in 2024 and 1,350 during the first semester of 2025, reflecting the Commission's sustained effort to monitoring detention facilities. For the promotion program, in 2024, the Commission conducted a total of 1,749 promotional activities, while for the first semester of 2025, we have already conducted 835 activities. And these engagements reached 111,304 participants in 2024 and 61,838 participants from January to June 2025. As part of strengthening local mechanisms for human rights promotion, the Commission established 71 centers for human rights educations. These are our partner higher educational institutions, and 344 human rights action centers in local government units in 2024. For the first half of 2025, 20 additional Center for Human Rights Educations have been reached, and 158 human rights action centers were established nationwide. These efforts highlight the Commission's continued commitment to build a culture of human rights through awareness, education, and community-based mechanisms. The Commission, as the country's national human rights institution, also carries out its mandate through the policy program or policy advisory program. Under this pillar, the Commission recommends to the Congress effective measures to promote and protect human rights and to provide for compensation to victims of human rights violations or their families, and monitor the Philippine government's compliance with international human rights treaty obligations. In 2024, the CHR released a total of 32 position papers, 35 policy advisories, and 45 situation reports, and conducted 32 community-based dialogues in line with its policy and advocacy functions. For the first semester of 2025, the Commission has already produced 11 position papers, 31 policy advisories, 30 situation reports, and conducted 15 community-based dialogues, showing the CHR's continued efforts in shaping rights-based policies and engaging communities in dialogue. In terms of performance, the CHR achieved an actual rate of 74.14% for issuances that incorporated or utilized human rights policy recommendations in 2024, and maintained 100% accomplishment rate for treaty reports and human rights situational reports issued within the same year. These achievements underscore the Commission's vital role in policy development, legislative advocacy, and monitoring of the state's human rights obligations. That ends our presentation, Your Honor.
Thank you.
For the Commission on Human Rights. For the HRVBMC,
Sige.
may I ask?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we now go to the Human Rights Violations Victims Memorial Commission, represented by the Executive Director.
Good morning, Honorable Senator. The Human Rights Violations Victims Memorial Commission is a relatively young agency. As a commission, we were just formed in about 2019, but by law, this was passed in 2013 under RA 10368. Next slide, please. This is the organizational structure. It's a very simple organization. I do report to a board of trustees, of which the chair of the CHR is now head of agency. Next. The board of trustees comprise the chair of the Commission on Human Rights, the chairperson of the NHCP, the lessons of the martial law period is to be distributed through the DepEd as well as the CHED, and assisting the overall curation of the memorial would be the NCCA, and in the archives, the university librarian of the UP Diliman campus. For 2026, these are the mandates that we'd like to do, is to start the Freedom Memorial Museum construction and development, run some of our human rights education programs, look after our archives and compendium. We have more than 1 million separate documents in our archive, do some commemoration and recognition initiatives, and as well as beef up the organization of the Memorial Commission. In terms of size, we are one of the smallest government agencies. Our plantilla that was provided by DBM only comprised of 30 people, sir. Next slide, please. So in terms of budget, in the NEP, this is what was provided, only 64,770,000 pesos. In terms of classification, RPS has a 31% increase since basically we have fulfilled filling up all of the 30 positions except for the museum curator. If I look at the 2025 and 2026, the DBM, seeing our progress over the years, has provided us a 14% increase from the GAA of 2025. The budget allocation since 2024, it's just for purposes of showing, we were allocated in 2020, 46 million, and as you know, over the years, as we had more people in, we were able to bring it up to certain levels that by 2024, our disbursement versus obligation is now at 91%. So our efficiency has greatly increased. This is a financial performance, and that we are showing from the current, our disbursement versus obligation for the first semester of 2025 is now at 98%. Next slide. We do have a trust fund, and the trust fund comes from RA 10668, wherein a portion of the 10 billion fund for reparations would comprise some trust fund, and the latest from the Bureau of the Treasury shows that we do have a trust fund of 597 million thereof in order to build the Freedom Memorial Museum. these are some of the items we are doing without the physical museum set in place over the 1.4 hectares in UP Diliman campus beside the Fine Arts Building and fronting shed. We have a mobile gallery, and this mobile gallery moves to certain schools and institutions while we're waiting for the construction of our big memorial museum. So we do have also a booklets and information education material which we produce and distribute to different institutions. We have been unable, on the other hand, to enter the curriculum of the DepEd as well as the CHED so that the lessons of this period could be part of their official textbooks. We have not been successful in that regard. Nevertheless, we have been producing materials which some of the DepEd schools and some of the state universities have also used in order to provide instruction to their students. We were able to launch in 2024 a Freedom Memorial Museum Gallery, and at that time this was opened by the late Congressman Edsa Lagman, himself a survivor of that period. It is operational, it is open to the public. It's a modest gallery, and we do invite the senator and his staff to visit it when it is convenient and he is free. The details of 2024 include our gender focus as well in highlighting the contributions of the women who struggled and survived the martial law period. We do have film screenings as well, and we had one in Iloilo, and we're trying to move outside of the NCR so that we're not NCR focused alone. We're impeded by travel budgetary limitations, but nevertheless, when we do go out of the NCR, there's a hunger for this kind of information. These are some of the things that we have done that's going mainstream. The Histo-X is an exhibition of all those persons. And in our exhibition at the Gateway Mall here in Quezon City, it was open to the public, and we were one of the stalls which attracted close to thousands of visitors. The introduction of our material to mainstream malls seems to be a good strategy for informing more people about the period that we are mandated to focus on. We do have some primary research, and our primary research brought us to Sultan Kudarat, where in the Takbil Mosque in Malisbong, we find one of the most horrific massacres that occurred in 1974. And by recognizing that and having the BARM later on recognize the efforts of memorialization, it has now entered into the official calendar of the BARM for this event that happened, which is a wound that our Muslim brothers and sisters bear. What we found out is when a national government agency recognizes that these things happen, the pace for healing actually quickens, because now they feel that they have been part of our Philippine history and now recognized. Because for the last 40 years, they were out of any textbook in the mainstream libraries of our country. So for our human rights education, we had a 1% increase, and for the 2026, it will be in the amount of 7 million. So that is our brief presentation, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. Maraming salamat. I'll go to some items in the budget. I'll start off with CHR. Um, I noticed that the request is 2.1 billion,
Yes, Mr.
and
Chair.
then the proposed is 2.1 billion, and the NEP is 1.2. So what were the items that were not included? Are those the ones you showed
Yes.
earlier in top 10?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. If that's the case, what the items were included naman in that 1.2? Let's go to that muna, yung slide 4 nakita ko kanina. Top 10 priorities. These items were not included
Yes, Mr. Chair.
in your budget, no? And let's go muna to the items that were included. Kasi ito, almost kalahati ng budget ninyo hindi tinanggap eh. So, what programs were included in the 1.2?
In the 1.2, the programs include the four major mandates of the commission. So these are protection mandate, prevention mandate, policy advisory, and promotion mandates, Your Honor. So under the protection mandate, we conduct investigation. These are regular activities of the office: investigation, forensic service, security protection, and other legal aid services. And in promotion mandate of the commission, we conduct we do this Human Rights Institute, where we conduct training seminars and activities for the promotion of human rights. For the prevention service, we conduct regular jail visits to scheduled jail visits to places of deprivation of liberty, as well as conduct anti-torture drive in these PODs. And in policy advisory, we issue position papers, advisories, situation reports, as well as engage with the different mechanisms, domestic as well as international human rights mechanisms.
So these are your core mandates.
Core mandates.
Mga core mandates. Yung mga I would assume these are additional programs and projects, yun ang hindi
Yes.
napasok, no? But I also saw what was included also, some amounts in the financial assistance, I think 16 million out of the 16 million, but your request is 51 million, no? And then there's Human Rights Institute and Human Rights Awareness popularization activities. Okay. Itong mga this additional activities, nakita ko these are also maganda rin tong mga activities na ito. For example, itong financial assistance. I saw you have amounts in the NEP already, but you're requesting for 51. May I know how come you're requesting additional financial assistance?
Yes. The request is based on the insufficiency of budget, basically, Your Honor. There is an increase in the demand for the granting of the financial assistance in view of our engagement with the Department of Labor and Employment, as well as the Board of Claims, on granting financial assistance to victims of human rights violations. And then in the previous years, we were constrained to reduce the amount from the original rate of 30,000 to 10,000 per victim or per case, because we cannot sustain the program if we will maintain the 30,000 threshold, Your Honor.
Sino binibigyan nitong financial assistance?
These are either victims or families of victims of human
Okay.
rights violations.
Okay. These are in the financial assistance. What is the intention of the financial assistance?
It's-
For food or ano ba yung
It's a recognition, Your Honor, that
Okay.
the victim that there's a violation of the rights of the victim.
Mm.
It's sort of not a compensation, but more of a recognition actually of the and in support of the victims.
Can you tap the funds of DSWD, yung mga AX program nila, diba? Have you tapped into that? Because those are malaki yun, no?
Not yet, Your Honor.
Oo. Um,
But we were trying to reach out to the SWD before for purposes of the other services of the department, particularly on psychosocial services to victims of human rights violations.
okay. The amount included in your budget 16 million, but you estimate that you will need 51. But the 16, based on the number of victims, will it be enough or not enough?
It will not be enough, Your Honor.
So if it's not enough, what do you do?
We implement, we have a guidelines on the grant of the financial assistance. So there's a ranking of the classification of the human rights violation. We recognize the grave human rights violation, then less grave, then at least there is a recognition that this kind of violation.
So pinagkakasya nyo na lang?
Yes.
In other words, in
Yes,
16 million. Okay. No, I was thinking kasi maybe you can tap into the funds of the SWD kasi malaki funds nila eh. And their social services program is quite flexible, no, in that sense. I suggest that you communicate with them. I think one of the reasons why it was not given is because other agencies have, particularly the SWD, they have financial assistance program. In fact, I saw in many of the agencies, the grant of financial assistance has been removed and centralized to the SWD for efficiency purposes. No?
Yes, sir.
Kagaya sa housing, meron dati NHA may binibigay rin pero tinanggal na rin, which I agree actually. Para hindi kasi sometimes it's very hard to monitor. One beneficiary will go to the SWD, will go to housing, will go to kung victim ka, will go to CHR. So just to centralize, no? Explore that. I suggest to explore that avenue.
I think we already we will do that, Mr. Chair. In previous years, we tried to refer some cases for financial assistance for grave violations. But I think there are certain programs of the department that does not cover instances of human rights violations. So maybe it would need some adjustments in the policy also of the departments. Maybe we can also replicate what we did with the Department of Labor and Employment, where the commission also grants financial assistance. But at the same time, the Department of Labor and Employment, in recognition of the violation of the rights of the victims, they also provide sort of an assistance to the victims of human rights violations in relation to labor by providing employment, educational assistance, and yung livelihood program.
So meron naman in other
Meron po sa DOLE.
natutulungan kayo ng ibang agencies.
Yes,
Okay.
because of our MOA with the
Okay,
Department of
okay.
Labor. Yes.
Baka maganda may MOA with DSWD.
We will try to explore.
Kasi malaki talaga yung funding
yes.
nila. And yun na nga, no? I saw the trend this 2026 to centralize all the aid giving activities to DSWD, which I agree, kasi nga para to avoid duplication. I suggest to have a MOA with DSWD.
Yes, Your Honor.
No. And then you also have a request for confidential funds of 4 million. In your budget now, there's 1 million.
1 million.
Yes. Meaning hindi siya kasya.
Hindi siya kasya actually, Your Honor, because if we will be, it's a good thing that right now there is no persons at risk under the protection of the Commission on Human Rights. But in case it the number surge, we would be requiring more resources for that. For the
What do you use the confidential funds for?
right now,
Yeah.
Your Honor, for
Para
gathering
maintindihan natin ba? We can
right now, Your Honor, because of the absence of the persons at risk, we use the confidential fund for gathering information, conducting dialogue with different sectors for purposes of programming and establishing activities and programs that would adjust and address issues affecting human rights, and also preparation for instances where persons at risk would be secured.
But the confidential funds is purely for surveillance purposes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Diba?
That's why we conduct.
I would assume kasi because you do a lot of investigations, the gathering of information is part of that investigation. No? Yeah. So,
well,
diba?
investigation is different, Your Honor, because it's targeted. It is the investigation pertains to a specific case.
Yes, yes.
In the confidential fund, we gather information for purposes of the programs and activities of the commission to enable us to adjust maybe the programs right now because of the absence of the PAR. If there are PAR, we would be using this fund for this.
What is a persons at risk?
Persons at risk, Your Honor, are the victims or families of victims of human rights violations who may be facing threats because of violations.
And you said wala kayong ganun.
Sa ngayon, wala po kaming PAR na pinoprotektahan sa aming komisyon. But there are victims, of course, because of the cases being filed. There are claims of violations. Pero po yung meron threat, actual threat or imminent threat to the security, life, and safety of the victims or families of victims, sa ngayon po ay wala.
Okay. Well, that's also good because ayaw natin,
Yes, Your Honor.
ayaw natin may ganun, no? All right. I'm just going through the wish list. Ito yung 344 is the wish list, no? I'm trying
Yes,
to
yes,
understand the use of the wish list. And also, there's another item here, yung torture prevention. It's also not included in your NEP crew in torture prevention. Wala kayong ganun na activity?
Meron po, pero maliit
lang.
Maliit
Okay.
lang.
Is there torture ba nangyari sa bansa natin?
There are claims of torture or ill treatment, Your Honor. But in every instances, we investigate. So, depende po kung anong kakalabasan ng investigasyon. Pero may mga claims of torture or other.
So, meron tayong ganyan na
Meron po.
na incidences?
Merong mga claims, but of course, subject to validation and
But
investigation.
those that you have validated,
Meron po.
merong ano?
Yes.
Okay. Are these related to work or related to
This,
what type of torture?
sa ano po ito? Sa mga places of deprivation of liberty. Basically, jail.
Sa loob ng jail?
Jails. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then this ano naman, no, itong priority nyo is a in order of priority to, no, from 1 to 10. Okay. I'll go to some items I saw in your dito sa brief summary, and thank you for this slide. This is very informative. That you've managed to reduce the number of cases from a high of 28,000. Let's go to that slide. comes a brief summary of cases. From a high of 28,000, now 3,438.
Yes, yeah.
So malaking, I mean,
Yes,
this is only a span of a year and a half.
Yes, yeah.
Oo. So, this is, I have to commend the commission for this really very efficient disposition of cases.
Thank you.
Dumadami ba ang human rights cases na fina-file sa inyo? When I say human rights cases, you do it this motu proprio or these are cases filed?
Filed by filed online, filed walk-in, and motu proprio. Your Honor.
Okay. Dumadami ba or kumukonti ang
Based on the
cases
numbers,
sa atin?
parehas po yung almost constant yung number. May mga changes depende sa situation, but I think nagbabago po yung nature of the complaints.
Kasi if you look at 2024, the new cases is 5,000 additional, di ba? 5,700.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sa 2025, kalahati pa lang tayo is 2,700 na. So
Yes.
I would assume times 2 yan, no? I would assume, times 2 yan. So lalabas siya mga around 5,000
Yes,
plus
yeah.
yun. So it's the same for 2 years.
Almost the same. Your
But the trend, even before, is it going up, going down?
Honor. Sa ngayon,
Pareho lang,
if we
sideways.
kung magsisimula po tayo ng 2023, almost the same.
Sideways lang.
Pero kung if we go back, medyo mas mataas talaga nung previous. Yes.
Okay. And the goal here is hopefully pababa,
Zero,
diba?
yes.
O zero, diba? The
Yes.
best case scenario is zero. We just have to maintain
Yes, yeah.
awareness and
Yes.
appreciation of human rights.
Yes.
How come it's sideways? You know? How come it's not improving?
Hindi po bumababa.
Hindi siya bumababa. 5,000 lang siya every year. Tama ba? Is it safe to
Yes.
assume that starting 2022, 5,000, 2023, 5,000?
We can assume that.
But how come it's not going down despite having a constitutional body such as the CHR advocating for human rights? But the best case is pababa eh.
The best case actually is pababa po. Masiro talaga siya. That's why
Hindi siya bumababa based on your experience.
most of the cases, Your Honor, sa ngayon are
Hindi porket bababa yan, masisiro yung budget niyo. Hindi,
yes, Your Honor.
hindi ibig sabihin nun kasi may advocacy pa, like you said, no? Merong promotion, may prevention, policy, and I think that is that's more, for me, it's an important advocacy because we
Yes.
prevent rather
Yes.
than we adjudicate. No?
That's why we are working intensively in coming up with agreements with different agencies of the government, Your Honor,
Diyan ba yan?
so that we can partner with the agencies of the government to address issues of human rights violation.
Mm-mm.
Based on our record, mataas po yung numbers ng cases on gender-based violence and economic, social, cultural rights issues. Maybe because we are the gender ombud under the Magna Carta of Women. Pero civil political violation cases, meron significant decrease po. Kasi before, ang focus talaga in the previous years, long time ago, ang focus is civil political rights talaga. But this time, because of the changes of the times and the expansion of the human rights concept, na nag-evolve po, nagkakaroon ng evolution ng human rights. So it now covers economic, social, cultural rights, sectoral rights like gender, rights of the elderly, rights of women, rights of children, education, food, health. So basically covers everything, Your Honor. So hindi naman namin pwedeng sabihin na hindi namin mandato ang economic, social, cultural rights.
When you say
Hindi po
economic, social, cultural rights, can you give us examples?
These are right to food, education,
So may
health.
ganyan na cases.
Yes. Yeah.
So from what you're saying before was civil political, ngayon
Opo.
is more,
Yes.
tama ba pwedeng sabihin more personal in violations? Is that the right term? Kasi pag food deprivation, di ba personal yun? I'm just,
Actually,
I'm not a lawyer, I'm
Yes, yes,
just
yeah.
making it more layman, no?
Um, more of the social justice aspect of the governance, Your Honor.
Mm-mm.
So if we analyze the economic, social, cultural rights, It's more of the social justice, governance. So kung meron hong reklamo on their education, it's it's a human right. But kailangan po namin siyang tignan, then we can advise the government. Uh, Help.
The
So, mga ganun
complainant,
pong-
the
These are personal individuals who claim to be violated.
okay. And who is the violator?
Iba-iba po yung iba-iba po yung complaints. So there are instances where katulad sa schools, teachers, maybe administrators, katulad do sa mga hospitals, yung hospital administrators. So although these are non-state actors, we are also interested because in looking into it because ultimately it's the government who is responsible in delivering services to the people. So by investigating, the commission can help the government to address the issue. So pwede ho naming sabihin na may mali dito sa pribadong hospital na ito at pwede namin i-refer ho sa pamahalaan at sabihin na since kayo po ang regulator na itong mga hospital na to, dapat actionan po natin ito. So there may mga ganun pong kaso kaming nare-resolve sa ngayon.
So kung for example, if a hospital will not accept a patient, they can go to the CHR and
Yes.
file a complaint.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ganun din po sa education.
Dapat LGU na lang yun.
Supposed to be it's the LGU actually.
Sa Valenzuela, alam ko sa LGU sila nagrereklamo eh.
I agree po. Kasi sila po yung ang supposed to be the provider of the services.
Yeah.
Kaya lang sa amin po sila pumupunta. Hindi naman namin pwedeng tanggihan.
Tama.
And hindi lang naman po kami nag-iimbestiga. So kung meron hong mga ganyang kaso, we also refer and coordinate with the agencies of the government na itong taong to may ganitong reklamo, pwede yung pakitulungan. So may mga ganun pong instances.
Yeah, Commissioner, go ahead.
Magandang umaga po. Sumali po ako sa Commission on Human Rights last year lang po. So kumpara po sa mga kasama ko katulad po ni Chair, ako po yung pinakabago. Ngunit kinararangal ko po na ang na-assign po sa akin na focal area ay ang tinatalakay po natin ngayon, ang right to health at ang right to food na isa po sa hinihingi namin sana na additional po sa aming budget. So, bagamat kinikilala natin na mayroong mga political rights na mahalaga sa, in fact, in the generation of human rights, we consider these political rights as the first generation political rights which form the basis of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the economic and social cultural the Convention on the Economic and Social Cultural Rights. These second generation rights, which comprise the right to health and the right to food, actually recognize the obligation of the state to provide the infrastructure for health services and health personnel to be available to their people. And so in the Sixth Commission under the chairmanship of Attorney Richard Palpalatok, we wish to foreground these second generation rights, the right to food, the right to health, while access to them is individual and depends so much on the freedom of the individual to avail of them. They actually are the most inclusive of all rights. They do not need an entry point of age or gender to be availed of. Neither do they need the entry point of residence as in the right to vote. Right to health po at right to food ay kailangan ng lahat. In fact, sinasabi nga po ang right to food at right to health ay isang basic need. Ngunit ang katungkulan po ng Commission on Human Rights, nanun po sa pagbabantay kung ang pamayanan, governance, is providing the infrastructure by way of services, personnel, other agencies to make these available, accessible, affordable, and most importantly, sustainable for all people. So yun po yung medyo bago na gusto naming ipalawak sa mandate namin. Thank you po.
Thank you for that. Well, I'm learning from you guys also. I don't claim to be an expert in human rights, alam ng staff ko yan ay um, uh, hindi ko to be honest, the issues on human rights here in the Senate are very superficial knowledge, no. Nevertheless, I want to also learn about this aspect, especially that we have a specialized commission really dealing with human rights. That's why gusto kong maintindihan pa. And also related to budget, no? How is this, like you said, how is this right evolving? Kasi ang unang, typically for layman, pag sinabi mong human rights is civil political eh. Yan ang first instance, eh, no? But that's why when I was asking, and sabi ng chairperson natin na it's evolving, natuto ako na nag-iiba rin pala, no? Ang demands ng kababayan natin or demands ng constituents natin.
Kaya po nagpapasalamat po kami na dinudulog po ito ngayon sa opisina ninyo para po marinig ninyo ano talaga yung ginagawang trabaho ng Commission on Human Rights.
Yeah.
At saka nag-evolve po kasi bago lang naman po ito noong 1987 bilang pagtugon sa martial law. Ngunit alam natin na mayroong mga karapatang pantao na talagang inherent na po sa ating pagkatao. Kaya lang, hindi po nasa surface dahil po sa pangangailangan noon pero maaari ngayon pangailangan na. Kasi hindi po ba meron tayong hinahabol na zero hunger goal at saka health po para sa lahat. Yun.
So ito yung mga SDGs in particular.
SDGs actually. I was
Oo.
about to say that, Mr. Chair.
Oo.
So pag titingnan niyo po yung Economic, Social, Cultural Rights Framework, it's more of aligned with the country's sustainable development goals. So it's basically social services. So kasama po dyan actually yung environment, life underwater, life above water.
Yeah, these are
above
really the SDG goals.
At
So
kasama
ngayon
po
yun
yan.
na ang, I would assume yun na nafo-focus na kayo
Yes.
on fulfilling the SDGs.
And these are human rights. So,
Yes,
so we also
correct,
focus with
correct. Yeah.
And-
In the pie ngayon, Chairman, based on your estimate, sa 5,000 cases a year na nafa-file sa inyo, ilan na ngayon ang economic, social, cultural rights versus civil political rights? Estimate lang, more or less lang.
ngayon. Civil. I don't have the actual number, Mr. Chair,
But
pero
yung ano lang, more or less lang, based on your, I'm sure in day out nakikita niyo yan.
so mas malaki pa rin po sa ngayon ang natatanggap naming complaints on civil rights.
Civil rights, okay.
Pero tumataas yung numbers on economic, social, cultural rights.
Okay.
Yung second-
May 50-50 na ba?
Wala pa naman po.
Wala pa. So mataas pa rin itong civil political rights
Yes.
na complaint.
Ang siguro ang challenge po kasi dito is because under the Constitution, the mandate of the Commission is to investigate violations of human rights involving civil political rights.
Mm.
So focus talaga siya based on the Constitution on the civil and political rights.
Mm.
Kaya lang, sabi ko nga, as the human rights is evolving, nagkakaroon na ng instances where economic, social, cultural rights are also being investigated by the Commission.
Mm.
Basta in relation to the civil and political rights. Kasi baka questionin din naman yung mandate ng office ng Commission on why are you investigating economic and social rights na wala naman sa mandato nyo. So, siguro yun po yung explanation kung bakit. But kung sakaling halimbawang include ang economic, social, cultural rights sa mandate ng Commission, definitely it will increase. Kasi po, poverty, food,
Malaki yan.
malaki po yun.
I would assume mas
Yes.
malaki yan.
Mas dadami po yun.
Oo. And how do you delineate, kasi may mga, like sinabi nyo kanina, yung sa hospital, no? Let's take that as an example. That can be an LGU
Yes.
responsibility,
Yes.
even a barangay nga, no? Kung
Yes.
maliit na hospital yon, or they can even file it in the courts, in the lower courts. So how do you delineate which one should be tackled by the CHRs, which one should be tackled by the LGU or even the lower courts, no? The lower courts can be, actually lower courts, meron pa silang mediation doon, di ba?
Yes.
Pinapamediate nila. But how do you delineate the responsibilities?
Sa ngayon po, the Commission is already discussing on shifting the policy. Before, the focus of the investigation is on the individual violators. So kung meron hong nag-violate ng rights, whether state actor or non-state actor, iniimbestigahan po ng commission yung mismong nag-violate. But this time, we are already discussing on the shifting of the policy na hindi lang yan ang tignan, but also the actions of the government actors, those who are responsible in delivering the services, regulating the activities, na kasi the primary obligation in fulfilling human rights is it's the state. So it's the government actors that we should be looking into. So ngayon po, nagkakaroon na ng changes doon on how the commission evaluates and investigates cases. Because right now, tulad po sa mga like gender-based violence, hindi na lamang po yung violator yung tinitingnan, kundi pati yung actions ng local government units under the Magna Carta of Women na dapat binibigyan nila ng services ang mga victims of sexual abuse. So, yun po yung that's how we address the changes and challenges right now. So we are also adjusting by the to the demands of the times, as well as on the nature of the mandates of the offices.
Namin, Chairman, na yung budget for financial assistance over the years tumataas siya. And then, of course, there's a request this time. Yung mga complainants for economic, social, and cultural, do they also, are they also allowed to get financial assistance?
Sa
Are they
ngayon-
eligible?